Hi, I'm Camille Gaines over at financialwoman.com, and in this short video I wanted to go over what happened in 2015, the major things that went on in the overall markets. And it's not that you need to or want to be intimately involved with the day-to-day movements of the crude oil markets or the US dollar, but if you have an overall picture of what happened for the whole year, it really helps you be more of an empowered investor, an empowered person around your money. And so, check these things out once a quarter, once a week, certainly once a year. Always look and see what happened for the year as a whole. And so I'm going to briefly go over each of these numbers because they might be Greek to you. Sometimes I'll see a number and I have no idea what it's talking about. So I hate it when that happens. And so these are numbers that I'm going to go over quickly about so you'll know what happened in the markets in 2015. So the first one is the Dow Jones Industrials. Okay, it was down about 2%, a little over 2%. You may have read my articles or seen my videos about the indices or indexes, stock indexes, some call them. And the Dow Jones is just a industrials, that's just an index that measures the overall market. You may have heard of the S&P 500. That is another index that you hear about a little bit more often nowadays. And so that means overall the stock market in the US was down a little over 2%. That follows several years of really good performance. So not much happened there. Now the next area I'll mention, and I only mention it because it did have a huge move down, and that was over 30%. Crude oil went down. You probably noticed how much oil was down when you bought your gasoline, and it's important to sort of be aware of that just because it's a metric, and it may have affected your investments if you were invested in the stock market indexes, because the stock market indexes that you're in, there's a good chance that they hold oil companies. And so it's important to be aware that crude oil was down about 30% in 2015 simply because that's just a huge move, and you're again probably aware of that drop in price. Now the next thing I'll mention is that the US dollar rose 9.3%, and again I only mention that one not because I think you're going to be a security or a currency trader. I wouldn't know how to begin to tell you to do that, but simply because it affects the value of your investments in different ways. It impacts different things that you might have, and also it's just good to have an awareness of that. And then the last thing I'll mention is that the 10-year Treasury yield, the bond, that's a bond, and the yield on those bonds was about 2%. Still very small. You can't get really any kind of good interest on those 10-year Treasuries still, so not much happening there. And that's what I wanted to share with you in this short video. You now know big picture what happened in the overall financial markets, and you know what each of these things mean. And as a woman that is empowered around her money and knowledgeable about investing that money, then that's something really great to know. Come see me over at financialwoman.com and take a look below the video and see what I've got there for you. Thank you.